Hello there and welcome back to the channel where today we have a bit of a more special video. We're sitting down with the developers behind an upcoming game called City Block Builder. So I'd like to introduce is it Rishi and Jay, and they're here hopefully to discuss a bit about their game and tell you what's coming with the game soon. It's obviously not released yet, just to clarify. So yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Rishi Shah. I'm the chief of marketing here at Tenworks Interactive, and I'm basically working on trying to get the game out to all of you guys.
Well, that sounds pretty good. So you're in charge of basically promoting it for everyone, I would assume then from that.
Yes, promoting of the game, trying to get like publicity out there, trying to send it to all of you guys, and yeah, that's basically my role.
Ooh. What about Jay, yourself?
First of all, let me say I'm so excited. I've been watching your videos for so long, and I can't believe I'm on one of them right now. So. But anyway, yeah, I'm the CEO and the creative director of Tenworks Interactive, and we've been working on City Block Builder for quite some time. And I'm in charge of mainly designing the game and making sure everything runs smoothly, and we get the game out to the fans in time.
Okay, that's great. So we're going to ask a couple questions. There'll be, what is it, for about 6 or 7 questions about the game. So I'd like to start off with, I mean, first things first, many people are going to be watching, and they're not going to have any clue what your game City Block Builder is and why they should give 2 cahoots about it. So my first question is going to be, what exactly is City Block Builder?
Yeah, so City Block Builder, it's first of all it's a grand scale Tycoon game. It's basically our fancy way of saying a classic Tycoon game mixed with city building elements. But from the vision point of view, it's truly a love letter to the 1950s, and we wanted to explore the 50s culture through everyday businesses, and that could be running cinemas, it could be restaurants, bowling alleys, bars, jazz clubs. And a lot more many things, and it's just a classic Tycoon management game, and we wanted to kind of bring in that 1950s culture and show it all to you guys.
Sounds pretty damn interesting. So it's based in the 1950s then, and you're it's in a city, of course, but you can basically choose whatever business you want, if I'm correct in there.
That's right. Yeah, it's based in Los Angeles. That's the main goal. And it's kind of like a post World War II kind of a feeling as well, when the US was really growing, especially LA as well, entertainment wise as well. So yeah, that's basically.
Okay. A question before I carry on is: could you focus on multiple businesses at once, or do you? Just focus on the single, like you said, a cinema, for example.
Yeah. So you can focus on multiple businesses. You can run multiple businesses. You start off first with maybe running a cinema, and then after that, as you start making profits from that cinema, you can start using that money to start building other business enterprises. As I was saying, like a restaurant, bowling alleys, jazz clubs, and other such enterprises, and there's a huge deep research tree that we have as well with each of those enterprises that you can dive deep into, and try and figure out what best way to optimize your business empire.
Okay, that sounds terrific. To focus more on the game though then, I'm sure that given the extent of City Block Builder, as you explained, and the gameplay that's available, there's a lot of features and main points within the game that you want to mention. What are some of the key features that you think people listening would be interested in that they'd want to hear about first?
Yeah, I'll let Jay take this over. Sure.
Well, obviously, one of the big features, like one of the big aspects of the game, is really being true to how Tycoon games were made in the early 2000s, and just classic Tycoon games. But what makes us different is we have, let's say, a neighborhood where you can run multiple businesses side by side. So, and we wanted to do something that really like explored the 1950s and really was a love letter to the 1950s. So we did you can run a cinema, and you could have a restaurant right next to it. So you could have guests that go into your cinema, watch a movie, and they might come out and decide, oh, I'm going to go and eat at this Italian restaurant. Or if you decide you just want to have something like a pizza place, you could do that. Or
You're
if
getting
you just want to
into
build up and then
to work together to make
Sorry?
more money. You're getting them to work together essentially to make more money, in a way.
yeah. So for sure, like we wanted to really give players a lot of depth, just like you would have in one single business, where you could do with multiple businesses. And in a sense, we have a lot of city building elements in there, or should we say, almost like a neighborhood builder. You can build several businesses, and actually every business has its own research tree, and you can edit every single aspect of the business in there. So we're really excited to see how the players change from micromanaging just a cinema and a restaurant to eventually macromanaging parking lots and space and traffic and all the other.
So it
businesses
really gets
together,
more and more as you proceed more. You get more work to do essentially to manage everything correctly and keep on top of it all.
Yeah, in a sense, you could say more money makes more problems.
What is the kind of stuff, the research trees you mentioned, or being able to have a defined research tree for every business available for you to use in the game? What kind of things can you unlock through them?
So, for example, in our restaurants, I mean, every single business has a research tree as deep as an independent game in itself. But say in the restaurants, you have you have multiple different types of cuisines, so you could have to research new types of equipment, or maybe you want to start delivering pizza, and you maybe have to unlock, and you think my business model is going to be, I'm just going to have my business on my neighborhood block, and then I'm going to just deliver pizzas to the neighborhood. Or maybe you want to establish some really luxurious a French restaurant or something like that.
Yeah.
Or even set up a live music band or something in your restaurant. All these things you can access through the research tree. And the reason we do that is we slowly let you into the business, and then we let you get deeper and deeper and deeper.
There's just a damn lot of stuff for every business you can just delve into, essentially. It sounds pretty damn good, really, from my point of view.
Yeah, I think the restaurant has almost like 50 or 60 research items just for the restaurant. And that's not including the theater and the casino and the bowling area or any of those things.
Okay, that sounds terrific. Okay, I'd like to go over to, you mentioned the game is set in LA in America, well, more specifically 1950s LA. What exactly made you choose LA in the first place? On top of that, why the 1950s specifically? Are there any particularly interesting events occurring back then? I mean, you mentioned the America's just coming back from having the war, so.
I mean, I couldn't think of a more perfect place than Los Angeles to start this game or set this game in. And this was right after World War II was over, and America was in its golden era. And there was a lot of cultures coming together and mixing together. You had so many soldiers who just returned to America and bring in culture from Europe, and I think it was a really exciting time. And it was just big. The TV was launched then. I mean, LA was when everyone decided, I'm going to open a restaurant, I'm going to open a theater, I'm going to open this business. It was all these weird contraptions, and I was like, I cannot ignore the incredible culture of LA in the 50s. And I thought, what better place? Sorry?
Everything's booming at that time, really.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, and especially with Hollywood, the rest of the world could see how the Americans lived or how LA lived, and everyone really had a perception of what LA was like in the 1950s, and that was the first time people saw video of what life in LA and the glitz and glamour.
Yeah.
So we really wanted to show everyone both the good and the bad of LA at that time.
Okay, that sounds great. That seems like a great reason and just a great way to base the game. Thank you for all the details on the game so far. However, I'd like to ask more about yourselves. You run the game studio, of course, Tentworks Interactive, if I'm not wrong. And what's it like developing a game, essentially? I assume this is your first game?
Yeah, this is my first game. I mean, I was a finance guy before I did this, but gaming was always a huge part of my life. And this was something that is not very easy to find talent for in India. I mean, India, there's a lot of outsourcing and stuff like that, but to do a Tycoon game, and especially at this scale, which has never been done in India before, there were a lot of hurdles that we had to jump. So we really had to. We essentially spent the whole first year and a half just tripping over ourselves and figuring out how we do certain things. And if it wasn't for trade shows like where we met so many other indie devs, I don't think we would have made it this far, because it really is an incredible community. And even though we're like competing for the same customers, I think everyone's so nice and helps each other out. And
that's
India, yeah, it's a different culture, and definitely it's a challenge. But
I mean, you say you're working on the game from India, which, I mean, it's a long way from rainy, wet Scotland here, where I am. But is there any specific challenges stemming from game development out of India, specifically?
Well, India doesn't have an established PC industry yet, or PC game development industry. We definitely consume the games. I mean, I don't know if any other country consumes as many games as us with the way we consume, but they consume them in the form of mobile or in PC. But we really don't have anyone producing those games. So I don't think many games have spent even more than a year being produced in India. And
it's not a substantial industry there, really.
Yeah, there's a lot of money being made by all the Americans and other industries who are invested in India, but we don't have too many in native studios, should I say? So
you're basically trying to create, build on that, I guess, in India.
Yeah, so even to hire a dev that's got experience for 4 years or more, which is usually something, I mean, for a task sensitive because this, you need someone with a little bit of experience. That was so hard to find, let alone finding someone in the Tycoon genre, which so we had to do a lot of learning.
A needle in a haystack.
Yeah, but it was incredible. We had a lot of people already came together, and a lot of people applied, and people were really excited to have India's first AA game on an indie budget, I guess.
Okay, that's damn terrific. But before we wrap up here, I did ask some of the members over on the channel Discord server to send some quick fire questions, some shorter ones in. Some of the topics or some of the areas may have been covered. We'll find out soon. However, nonetheless, I'll start off with one from a person called General Mudkip, if I'm saying that correctly. How long do you intend to work on the game overall? I guess that's starting from when you begun to when you hope to finish.
Thank you for the question, General Mudkip. Well, I mean, one of our core philosophies when I created this company was, we wanted to have stellar post-launch support. Once we finish the game, it's not like we're done, like on to the next one. We really, really want to support the community and build a great community around our game. So there will definitely be a lot of support after the game, especially for the fact that we're bringing more and more businesses from the 1950s and maybe even looking at exploring the 1960s in the game. So we definitely will be giving a lot of support.
That sounds.
We think years.
Years. That's actually quite good. Yeah, that sounds great. Going on to someone called Scottish Boy here. He asks, how long have you been working on it? From the beginning up until now, at least.
Well, I got the idea to work on this when I was in college, to be honest. But I never. Making games is a very expensive business, and it's quite challenging to find the sources to execute your vision. But when we actually had a core game document was probably early 2018.
Right.
Or like maybe, early 2018, mid 2018.
A few years ago, really. It's quite a long time to get to where you are then, really. I'll move on to the third one here. Bad Doge? Will the game be moddable? And if so, to what extent is his question.
It'll definitely be moddable. That's one of the core things that it really, really matters to me a lot, that the game is moddable, because my favorite thing to do is modding my favorite games. And obviously all the assets will allow modding, and we do intend to build special modding tools and a whole suite for the players to play with as they please. To what extent with the AI, it would be challenging to make a guess at this point, before we release the game. But we have obviously left that door open. So
that sounds.
We really, really want the community to build around the game.
That sounds really good. We've got someone here called Dot who asks, does time progress? But I might rephrase that to, how does time progress in the game?
Okay. So time progresses fairly like in the traditional way that it does in Tycoon games. So you can fast forward time and you can slow down time, but the game does have seasons, and you'll actually see the trees in the game change according to the seasons. The leaves will change according to what season it is, and you'll see, because it's the 1950s and the whole game happened between 1950 to 1959.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see the technology progress. You'll see the cars change over time. You'll definitely see the buildings around you change too. So it's not just you fast forwarding and waiting for the money to flow for you to buy the next thing. You can definitely,
the world changes, time
then
progresses.
the world changes. I mean, if you're in the 50s, you really want to see that boom actually happen, not just where you're doing it, but the whole environment around you.
Okay. Finally, we've got Zagusha here who asks, is there a second floor?
Second floor, we did have the second floor like very, very early in the game. And I played Software Inc., which had the second floor, and I think they did it fairly well, but I thought, well, first of all, in LA, second floors are not even a thing. And also, it just, for the player, it can make it confusing and make it hard to manage things that are maybe on a completely different plane.
Yeah.
For some reason, players just seem to neglect the second floor. But
So
we are looking at if we can find a clever solution to bring that back. But as of right now, we have no plans for a second floor.
I mean, I guess, I'm not in LA, but I assume all the businesses are on the first floor. Anyway, would be my assumption then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I've never thought, I actually didn't think about it like that. We don't really go to the second floor to go to a commercial business, do we? It's usually the houses on top.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for those. So those are the questions from Discord answered, and we've got a lot more information overall on what will be in the game. Thank you very much for that. So if there's anything you'd like to say before we're finished, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you everyone, and appreciate all the support from our community, and appreciate all the questions. Some really good questions out there. And we're just super excited to get this game out to you guys, and see what we've been working on for quite some time now. And thank you, Falsey, for setting this up, and appreciate it.
No, it's fine. Thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah. And Falsey, just as a special thank you, we can extend a closed alpha to all your viewers or listeners, if they would like, and they can sign up for it on tentworks.io.
Okay, thank you very much.
And if they leave the Falsey tag, they get access to play the game before the rest of the world does.
Ooh, okay, so we'll put the details for that in the description, then, I assume.
Okay.
There'll be links to your game as well on Steam and your website and your Twitter. So everyone who's listening can follow along and wishlist the game on Steam and keep tabs on what's going on elsewhere. But I'd like to thank you again, and thank you for doing that as well. And I will see everyone else who's watching whenever I see you. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. And cheerio.